So this is not something that relates to what you might call the recurrent expenditure being announced this year. This is something that we have been negotiating with Unite for some time. It's something that relates to an argument about entry-level pay, connection to the parity agreements, and so we thought it was important when we reached this agreement to give certainty to people who, through their union, have been making the argument that they are a little underpaid, that they have this element of claim to the government. So we don't tend to use the budget to settle a claim. We deal with issues which relate to future pay, etc., not past claims in relation to pay. That's why we've announced it now when we've reached the agreement with Unite.
Chief Minister, how many people does it affect?
So this affects 800 people. It's about £500,000 in cash in respect of the payments that will be due as a result of it. So that's about £356 per person when you work it out. It's a large number of people, but there are a lot of people in the entry grade. That's why it's an issue that Unite and the government took quite so seriously.
So we're not just talking AAs?
Well, you're talking about people who were AAs, who may have that claim. You have your people who are in the entry-level grades. I mean, remember, AA is the civil service entry grade, but this affects the wider government, which is not just the civil service, also Gibraltar Development Corporation, people who work in the sort of wider public sector, as we might call it.
If we look at the civil service, they have a scale. And so, for example, the AAs would have a scale. Would it affect the increments on that scale, or is it just the entry level? How would that work?
So what we've been doing now for some time is that as the entry level in AA has come up, the spine points have got shorter. Remember that there is a very good argument to have a 1-point entry scale, which is the AA rate, and that should be 1 point because people don't spend very long on the AA grade. Indeed, one of the arguments that has been used in the past, which we have not agreed with, is that you shouldn't have the AA grade anymore. You should have the AO grade with its spine points that people take longer to work through because there is more AA work description, job description. In the context of AAs, you'll recall that when we were elected, we reintroduced the AAs. I think when we were elected, there was just one AA left in the government, and we reintroduced the concept of AAs. We introduced the grade with its spine point, but at that stage, it was just a 1-point scale, and we introduced the scale. As it's eating into where the AO scale is, we're keeping it as closer to 1 point on the scale.
In terms of the civil service, do you envisage a situation where people will come in totally green, earning almost as much as an AO who may have been working there for a few years?
Well, that was the situation that had been agreed by the GSD. The GSD agreed with the GGCA to do away with the AA grade, and the people should come in your description, not mine, but in your description, totally green, and earn what an AO earns. We don't believe that's exactly what should happen. We believe there should be an AA grade. That's why we brought the grade back. Even though it may have less points on the scale, we still think that people who are in your description, totally green, and starting from scratch should be on the AA grade, because there is work under that job description as well.
So you're perpetuating what the GSD did 15 years ago?
No. We're doing the opposite of what the GSD did 15 years ago, which is keeping the AA grade, although it's not going to have a long spine point, but we're keeping the AA grade. We think it's important that people who, in your description, are totally green coming in to start in the government, etc., should start in the AA grade, not in the AO grade.
But my point was that they'd be earning almost as much.
Well, look, they would be earning almost as much if they got to the top of the spine point. They would be earning almost as much depending on what they were doing. And indeed, the argument that the unions have put in the past is that people come in your description, totally green, and they are immediately already on the AO grade because they're immediately acting AO. Because as you see people moving through the scales, there's always an acting position, and people, whatever the agreement between the union and the government might be in respect of the AA grade, immediately find themselves de facto earning AO salaries because they're acting.
Chief Minister, will the government be opening further AA vacancies?
So the government is, as you know, about to go to the Parliament with a budget before the end of the first quarter of this financial year. That will include the new complement for the government service and for the civil service, and obviously I'm not at liberty to disclose that on pain of breaching my own undertaking of confidentiality before we have the debate.
So then probably you won't answer the next one, but what effect will this have on the public sector pay claims?
The public sector pay claim is one that is undergoing negotiation now. I had NASUWT, the Gibraltar Police Federation, Unite the Union, and the GGCA in my office on Monday. We spent a long time considering now the proposals that have been put. We've already shared with them on the basis of confidentiality the surplus anticipated for this year and the anticipated surplus for next year. They've therefore been able to work through those issues. We've shared our calculations as to what the shortfall in the public sector pay rises have been against the cost of living since 2019 and 2011. They've looked at that methodology, they've worked through it. We are sharing a lot of statistical data in order to be able to reach at least a common understanding of what the shortfall is and try and get as close as possible to a common understanding of how the government can make that up over a period of years. Again, an issue on which we're negotiating. What is that period of years and what else should be the elements that we should throw into how public sector pay is set going forward after this year's budget?